Cha 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 cha. Shot. Okay, we're good.
I'm not frozen. I was just messing with you people.
uh,
Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. What a beautiful Tuesday.
yeah, nice to be with everybody.
Yeah.
So let's dive right on in. If you are just popping in here, let me get the chat window up. Feel free to say hello.
Drop in that
Um,
link if you can
I
while we
will.
remember.
I do, but people don't usually take action on it. So again, here's a link for y'all. Uh, Oopsie.
Basically, while he's doing that, so we use this thing to stream called Restream. And if you guys aren't using this link, then when we see the comments, it just shows that like Facebook user. Hello, hello. So whoever that was, if you click that link that Guy just posted, it will actually grab your name from Facebook, and then we can actually see who you are. So
Absolutely.
highly recommended.
With that said, if you're new to
Hi
the
Gina
community,
G. Hi Marilyn. Hi Alex. Nice to see you guys.
yeah, if you are new to the community, we'd love to welcome you here. Let you know a little bit about what we're about, and then what these Tuesday trainings are about. So obviously, if you're here, we assume that you're a person who is interested in increasing their performance. You are growth oriented. You want to learn how to heal by doing really deep work, and transformation is of concern for you. Not a concern, but a primary focus and something you want to work on. You probably have goals around your business, around your health, around your relationships. And these Tuesday sessions are are overviews and really like tasters of the type of work that Elon and I do. We are aware that many of you guys have done a lot. You have or you haven't. We're here to serve everybody here. And Elon and I have built programs and ascension models that enable somebody to step in and go from setting a really strong foundation in their mindset all the way to learning how to go into higher states of consciousness and using awareness and energetics to do some really deep healing work, and also a very different approach than most people take into interpersonal work and spirituality. So these Tuesday sessions are an overview and again a taster of what the work is. And today is going to be a really important session. Why? Because if there's things that we repeat on here, and there are definitely things that we repeat on here, we repeat them often because we all need reminders. Even if you know the work, Elon and I have been doing deep energetic and awareness work for over 5 years. We've been doing mindset work and personal development work for 20 years. And truth be told, when I'm in my stuff, when I'm in my shit, I need teachers. I need people to give me reflection. I need reminders. I need people to remind me how to take responsibility. Because at the end of the day, we all have these parts in our system. And when they get activated, they have a tendency to hijack our system and take us for rides. And we need somebody off in there for connection as part of a real important, excuse me, I have peanut butter stuck in my throat. Uh,
Ah,
we all go for rides. We need reminders how to get off of them. Let me take a quick drink. Otherwise, I'm
I'll,
gonna be
I'll jump in.
cooking. Yeah, thank
So
you.
one of the things that was coming through for me last night is this notion of who works with coaches and who works with mentors. And I had this really like interesting, it was interesting. I was like kind of in this like weird half sleep, half awake state where I get these amazing downloads. And I just want you guys to think of any hobby or sport or anything that you're really, really passionate about. Do you realize that the best of the best people in the world in that thing, whether it's any sport, whether it's any like activity or anything, that they are right now, like the highest performer in the world is working not with one coach, but with multiple coaches. One that works on their form, one that works on their mind, one that works on their nutrition, one that works on their stretching. Like, do you guys get the level of mentorship and coaching that the at the highest level people are getting? In fact, like people like a Tom Brady, or if you're like Lionel Messi in soccer, or Novak Djokovic or Rafa Nadal, like they have teams of people around them. And something that hit me is this: it's like when you start anything, and we're going to talk about our story of starting stuff today, but like when you start anything, to get from where you're at to somewhere else in the beginning, like you'll have these big epiphanies and big wows, and it's like really amazing. After a while, though, what you start to notice is those epiphanies and the ahas and the things like they're not as big as they were in the beginning. Guy and I love car racing, for example. So, like, if someone starts car racing and they do a lap their own way, and then they'll sit with someone and someone's like, pay attention to these two things. That person on that second go around can easily shave 3, 5, even maybe 10 seconds off of that one lap. Like it'll be a monumental shift. But when you're performing at your highest, to shave a tenth of a second off your lap time takes monumental effort.
Good
Like,
analogy.
right, like the beginning first whatever is easy. It's the same thing even like if you think about weight loss, right? Like if you're overweight, losing the first 10 pounds is easy. It's losing the last pound or two that becomes difficult. And so the reason people work with people like us or in any sport or any hobby or anything, it's because we cannot, under any circumstance, and I don't care how you think about this, like we cannot see ourselves. And when you can get someone to give you a reflection, you're talking about little nuanced shifts that will make massive transformations in your life. Because once those big hits are done, they're done. Like you can't keep chasing those. What you're actually looking for is those little nuanced things. And think about anything that you have given a lot of time to mastering, and you'll realize that like yeah, in the beginning, this one thing like made a huge difference and then it stopped making a difference. And now you're just interested in the nuance. And whether that is in finance, whether that is in writing, whether that is in psychology or philosophy or sports or whatever, it's these little shifts. Like I play a lot of tennis. Yesterday, I watched a video and I was like, oh my God, I never thought about this. But like before swinging, it's like shift your weight to this foot. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God. Little things, right? So, in line with what we're talking about here today, I want you guys to get that, like, for Guy and I, we started this work in 2003. Okay. And the distinction for today's call is between growing up work and waking up work. So we want to give you that distinction so you really understand like how you can go from these big aha moments to starting to really work on the nuance stuff that will actually create the biggest shift in your actual life. Not that you have this epiphany and go, "Oh my God, that was amazing," and then go back to being the same asshole that you were 3 days ago, but like how to actually shift into that new way of being, right? And like live from that way of being. So in 2003, we started that work and we had these massive, and I mean like seismic shifts,
Wow, you took the word out of my mouth. I was literally going to say seismic.
like seismic shifts where there was like life before and life after. And we did that for years. I'm talking, guys, like a decade plus of every single day being coached, coaching others, doing practices. We weren't like half-ass into it. We didn't read a book once and we're like, all right, we got this. I'm talking every single day. And after a while, what we started to notice was that yes, our life was expanding. Yes, we were feeling better. Yes, our relationships was better. Yes, this. And we kept coming up against the same things over and over and over. Meaning, like, even if the thing was maybe it didn't happen every week, maybe it now happened every month, or even every year or two, but it kept coming back. And we were fairly young when we started. So I'll never forget, I had a moment with one of my coaches. This thing came up, and she instructed me to go back to this memory that I had when I was 3.5 years old, which at this point, no shit, I have literally looked at 1,000 different ways from 1,000 different perspectives. And I told her, I was like, I can't go back there anymore. Like, I cannot fathom that every single aspect of my life is like this thing. What am I going to have to do this for the next 70 years of my life? Like, keep looking at the stupid memory? There's got to be something that actually heals these things so I don't have to keep going back. And that moment was very, very pivotal because after that conversation, within a few months, Guy and I went and did plant medicine work together, actually, for the first time. We had done it before, but together for the first time. And I remember we left after this retreat for a week with a question in mind because we had, in a week, it felt what was like 20 years of personal development happened in a week. And I remember we left and we're like, okay, there has to be a way to give this to people, this kind of healing experience, like decades and decades of healing experience, without them having to drink medicine. And that became our path. And that started us finding amazing teachers and mentors. We've worked with Rinpoches. These are people that like live in the Himalayas and meditate in caves. We've worked with energy healers who have been working for 30 plus years doing this work. Like, we found, when I told you, like the wizards and uh, like shamans, and just incredible beings, right? Who taught us. And for the first time ever, we understood that there's something other than growing up work. And growing up work is what you've all read and watched and seen as personal development. It is mindset work, right? Like, you're doing the work from the mind. So it gives you a lot of understanding. It makes you understand why you are the way you are, why they are the way they are, why life is the way it is, why these people react the way they are, why you react to them reacting the way they are, like all that kind of stuff. And it works on a recall function. Like, you have to be present enough to recall that understanding in order to have that shift happen in your life. Waking up work is a felt sense. It's an experience from the body. And waking up work is energetic. It's a reattunement of what is already happening inside of here. And whether you want to believe this or not, like, your inner world, what is happening in here, is what creates your outer world. Where most people go through growth work, growing up work, is they try to figure out ways to make this outside world be okay enough so that the inside world doesn't respond. What waking up work does is it takes you inside to actually get okay with what is happening inside. And when we stop resisting what is happening in here, the most magical thing starts to happen. These things that have been all bound up inside, and you're like, I'm fine, literally begin to release, and you be a different person. Not because you recalled something or some formula, or you had to remember, like, oh, when my husband says this, I need to no, it just happens effortlessly and naturally because the thing out there that usually triggers the thing in here, there's no thing to trigger. And it doesn't come back. It's not like this, like, I got to keep going in there. And no, it just, it releases. And this is what we have spent the last 5, 6 years day in, day out with that same diligence, working for ourselves, our coaching team, our clients, and everyone that comes in touch with this work. So if you're here, I want to invite you into the conversation of realizing that you have done some really, really good work to get here. This conversation, right? Like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. This is not an amateur conversation. This is not for people that for the first time found personal development work and are like, oh my God, this is really interesting. This is for people that have read, and you guys tell me, like, how many books have you read around personal development and spirituality? How many years have you dedicated to your work, to your seeking? And you're probably like us, like you've gotten to the point where you've felt the edges of the growing up work. Like it gets you to this place, and you're like, I'm trying to get past this thing. And it just, and that's the shift, right? So it's not this or that. It's not. I don't want you to hear it this way. It's this and that.
Mm-hmm.
The and is what makes the other thing so much more profound,
Mm-hmm.
so much more effortless. And that was like when I tell you like the missing piece that we had been searching for so long, we didn't even know we were searching for it. And when people in this group who have been through our programs, who have come to our live events, like when they experience, and I mean like really experience, not just conceptually, but like experience feeling this energetic force heal their bodies without them like having to do anything, it is a profound, life altering, never be the same experience. And it's easier than anything that you've ever done. In fact, it's so simple that your brain argues with you all the time that it has to somehow be more complicated. It is not. And the results, like every time we get on a coaching call, we have people share, and it's like, and this magical thing happened, and you won't believe that this thing happened, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this is kind of the life that we're around now. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm sure I saw a guy writing a bunch of stuff, so I'm sure there's other things he wants to share. But like, I want you to just feel inside as I share that, like, does this resonate with you? Does this feel like a truth is being spoken to you that resonates inside? It's like, I do feel that little bit of frustration that I'm not farther along, or that I feel like I should be farther along. And do I feel like I'm kind of bumping up against the edges? And I really want you to get, it is not because you've done anything wrong. In fact, you have done so many things beautifully right that you can even feel that edge. Like that's amazing that you've done so much work that like you're starting to find where this thing stops working. Someone said to me the other day, he's like, the Phillips screwdriver got created for a reason. Right before that, people had like a flathead screwdriver, and that worked fine until it didn't. No one created a Phillips because they're like, you know what we need? We need to throw a mix into this. Like they just realized like there's a better way to do this thing, you know? Yeah. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, so I see you guys are getting related to it. So how many of you guys can track this conversation at some level? Just say I in the chat box. Like you can relate to it, even if it's mildly confusing to you, or you don't quite have a grasp of what we're talking about, but you have felt this edge in your life. And I'll just again describe for me what it felt like. It was just frustration. When you've been doing work for a period of time, you feel like you have something handled, then life throws you a curveball, the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm comes back, and boom, you find yourself in this old pattern, making old mistakes, sabotaging things, ending relationships, like all these things that we kind of do, and you're like,
Yeah.
like the fuck, like what is it going to take?
Again,
Yeah, like what is it going to take, right? So there's a few things I want to say about transformation. Like to me, I always have this thing: the way it is above is the way it is below. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Like everything mimics everything else. Like what Elon is saying about polarities, right? Like you need both. It's not the mindset is bad and energetics is good. It's just that when you do one without the other, it's like having one left hand without a right hand. Like they work better together. It's like having masculine energy without feminine energy. They work better together. Like humans learn through contrast, and the universe is set up through polarities, right? So we could say, while the mindset world is very adept at looking outside of ourselves, and then what is it that we need to shift in here to make changes out here and be better performers, better performers. That's the growing up world that Elon mentioned. The waking up world is this world that is minimally discovered by most people, which is the world that's inside of you. And this is a very subtle world. This is a world where you can commune, I'm not joking, directly with your cellular structure, right? You can set internal intentions. You can feel very, very subtle vibrations and sensations inside your body. And again, because we are so conditioned to be externally focused and trying to work on our problems or change our circumstances in order to make ourselves feel better, that's why it never works. Because while you are maybe manipulating or changing something outside of yourself, the frequency, okay, or the energetic construction, like there's an energetic not construction, what's the word I'm looking for, bro? Yeah, okay.
Makeup.
Not makeup, but okay, it'll come back to me. So like the energetic construction that you are is set up a certain way based on a certain frequency. Okay, and that's why I want to give you a little bit more practicality here. It's that basically what's happening outside of yourself, reality. We call reality an organic hologram. Okay, now what is that hologram responding to? Well, it's responding to an output signature. Just like a computer has an input and output signature, it's getting information, it's giving information. Human beings are like nodes, okay? We're like a server, so to speak, that's attempting to connect to a higher consciousness, right? To this omnipotent, omnipresent type of energy. And we can't do that by just peering outside of ourselves and looking at this hologram. What we want to recognize is that what the organic hologram is mirroring to you is an exact way that reality looks when it matches the frequency that you're carrying in your body. And so most people, when they're trying to problem solve or change or transform or grow or become better performers in their life, they just look out. They're like, I don't like how this looks, let me go change it. But the frequency in their body doesn't change. The constraints, the way the energy is moving, the fluidity, how they feel is all the same. And no matter how much they strive or how much they create or how much success they gain in the way that we traditionally look at success, it doesn't do one iota for shifting what's happening in the body. And I can prove this quite easily. If you are afraid because you have scarcity around money, the fear does not dissipate when you earn money. Why do I know this? Because A, I've been through it myself, and B, we've coached countless people. Or go look at anybody who's successful, right? Like the Will Smith book is really popular right now and highly recommended. It's a totally beautiful experience. He describes the same process. Running for his life, most successful actor ever, first hip hop Grammy winning artist, doing all these incredible things, literally running scared for his life, trying to figure out how to survive while earning millions of dollars. Because why? Because the thing inside hasn't changed. The attachment system hasn't changed. The construction of the energetic body hasn't changed. And so when we focus internally, what we're actually doing is we're helping the body by downregulating our nervous system to actually learn how to metabolize energy. Okay, this is really important. Because think about if you put food in your body, because all we are is energy consuming machines. And we consume energy more than just with food, right? Like if you are in a good connection with your wife or your spouse, right? You're probably going to have more energy. If you guys are in an argument of some kind, you're going to feel drained, right? There's this exchange of energy that's happening. We're consuming energy. And so what happens with trauma is that the energy gets bound and stuck and it doesn't metabolize. And so there's this part of you that basically we have this sense that it's no longer integrated with the whole. It's kind of this part that sits out on an island. And when it gets upset, it like hijacks the system and we get involved with this part. It's like we jump on a bus and we go for the ride. And we've all had that experience when we're like getting really heated or angry. And then we like kind of calm down and we're like, whoa, like where did you go, psycho boy, right? Like you just said some crazy shit that you would normally never say. And then we identify with that part. And we go, oh my God, I'm such a bad and wrong person. Instead of realizing like there's this aspect of you that responds that way, and it's doing that to try to create safety. Right? Am I
And that,
right or am
that's
I
the
right?
most important piece. And like safety gets thrown around a lot. So like, yeah, just yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
And so I want to highlight this. So like how many of you guys can recognize at some level that what you're doing in your life, what the things that you take action on, whether in your career or in your relationships, when you argue, whatever it might be, is that it's really about safety for you. Like you're just trying to get to a place where you feel comfortable again. And I mean like it might be the type of safety like just opening the door and going out into the world doesn't feel safe to your body and you're like, why is it when I go to a party, when I hang out with people, COVID, right? Like all these things, it's like it's a lack of safety. And I want you to just kind of blow this out into like most world problems, if not all world problems. I mean problems between nations, problems between cultures, problems between races, problems between genders. It's all these different conditioned ways of being that we've learned that the other side is trying to create safety and so is the other side and they just have maybe two different ways of trying to get there. And so we want to start with this fundamental understanding that all of humanity is just trying to calm the fuck down, basically, and just get to safety. And then how we've applied different formulas in our lives to try to do that have varied, but we haven't been able to get there. And the reason we haven't been able to get there is we have been trained away from looking within. Okay? So so how does this all work? How do we actually heal ourselves? How do we become better performers? How do we get into authentic connection with other human beings? By the way, biological need for us. Okay. Now the way again the mindset people do it, or the mindset world does it, is a top-down approach. Let me understand my mind, and then let me try to habituate through practice over and over again. Oh no, like let's shift this, let's reframe, let's refocus, let's clean up, let's take it like have more integrity, let's be more responsible. Again, fantastic tools, but very labor intensive.
Yeah.
Like Elon said, you gotta be on top of your game. You gotta be really, really aware all the time. And you're like, fuck, right? So you're much better at getting yourself back, but there's still this like constant game of like trying to find balance. With awareness work, it's really a bottom up approach. Okay? Because what we're paying attention to is not what the mind is thinking. What we're paying attention to is the energetics and the direct emotional and biofeedback experience that the body is having. And this can start with something really subtle. Like you wake up in the morning, you drink your cup of coffee, someone comes downstairs and says something that to the mind doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal. You're like, all right, I'll let that slide. Right. And you kind of stop thinking about it. But to the body is like highly traumatic. It's now the body's like, ouch. And there's a sadness that's experienced in the body that the mind is not really paying attention to. So when we become more in awareness practices, again, this is what we can start paying attention to. And I want to just give you a diagram of kind of how this works because we're all in this world navigating people and energies and circumstances and survival basically, right? And so when we're out in the world and something happens and, there's energy flowing and a lot of chaotic movement and stuff like that, all that energy is hitting your body. Whether you think of yourself as an energetic being, whether you think of yourself as a sensitive being, like truly doesn't matter anymore. Like we know for a fact that everything in the universe is just energy in motion essentially, right? And so when there's energy around you, there's a certain way that hits your system. And then there's a process that you have done hundreds of thousands of times probably by now that your body goes through in order to deal with the energy and charges that are hitting your body. Okay? When we're not aware of that, what ends up happening is when we were little and that happened, something had to happen for the child to feel safe. And so in the moment where something hit your system and there was anxiety, overwhelm, fear, the mind had to respond with something. It had to make it okay. And from the moment you started doing that, if it worked, the mind's like, oh, that worked. Let's do that again. And it starts habituating this pattern. As you become older, you're no longer thinking about doing that. It just happens on its own, like a knee-jerk response to everything. And that has a frequency, right, to it. That has a texture to it. That has a quality to it. And it lends itself to getting the same or similar results over and over again. And so what we want to focus on is, well, how do we help the body metabolize that energy so that next time that stimulus hits your body, that part in your system doesn't get triggered. There's no trigger anymore at all, in fact. And so the mind doesn't have to respond by running the program. The program might still be there. And this is the crazy and wild part. When people do this work, is they'll be in a situation where, again, like let's use your spouse or someone from your family says that thing that upsets you greatly. But in that moment, you're like, you've already done the work. So this part feels safe in your system. And if it feels safe, that means the mind doesn't have to come in and play the protector role, right? And so it hits your system. There's no response in the body. You're just neutral and fluid. Or if it hits, it just fluidly moves through. And you'll be sitting there going, no response, like looking up at your mind going, we're not going to do anything about this. And the mind's like, nope, you're good. And that's it. That's all you get. Right. And again, this is, again, contrasting, because we learned through contrasting the difference between trying to do mindset work. Like if that happened during mindset work, you'd be like, ouch, that hurt. And then you're like, no, just change the story. That's not what they really said. Remember, this is how mom used to act, right? And go through this whole process. Where here it's just like, oh, okay, a charge hits your system, and through the act of being aware, right, we show you guys how to go into different states of awareness, how to look at these subtle energies in the body, and how that helps support and heal the body. Okay, and then this is the last piece I'll say about this. So how does that actually heal the body? Why does that actually work? Because our body, like every other biological entity on planet Earth, and I'm sure far beyond, has a way, like your body knows how to bring itself back into a neutral state. Okay, that means it knows how to heal itself. It's the same thing that happens when you cut your finger. It's the same thing that happens if you get cold, right? And then the body starts heating itself up. The body is constantly going towards homeostasis, right? You break a bone, you set the bone, the body brings it back to homeostasis, brings it back to a neutral state. So isn't it weird then that our emotions and identity, we don't think of them the same way? So if our emotions, our identity, the way that things show up in our lives aren't changing, right, in any sort of way, then we have to say then there's something in our system that is struggling to get back to homeostasis. For anybody who uses chiropractors, for anybody who uses acupuncture or homeopathy, right? Like the goal is to get the body back to neutrality, because they understand that if we do that, if we direct the body back towards that, the body will heal itself. Same thing with psychology. If we bring you back to a neutral state, the mindset will heal itself. Okay? So that's all we're doing, is we're basically enabling that system. It's a parasympathetic nervous system response to get back to a neutral state so that it can heal itself. The reason most people that aren't experiencing this is because they are conditioned into and are literally stuck in a fight or flight response. And so when the body is stuck in a fight or flight response, and how would you know if you've been stuck in a fight or flight response for 30 years, 40 years, something like that, how would you know until you finally get to a relaxed state and you look from that contrasting point of view? You're like, holy shit, where have I been for the last 30 years? But again, when we get to that state, this divine intelligence that exists in our body, this innate intelligence, can just go to work and just heals these aspects of ourselves and reintegrates them back into the whole. And then we start seeing that people are a lot less charged up, much more peaceful. The configuration of their energy changes, and so the organic hologram, aka the reality, is mirroring this new frequency output from your body, and you start seeing a very, very different reality with much more possibility open up for people, and that's why it's spontaneous and even magical in its experience.
Yeah. We call some of the practices that we do called the awareness effect. And I was just talking to a friend of mine, and when you do personal development work, growth work, one of the first things that they show you is this subtle mind, right? Like you learn that there's this voice inside your head that you have always thought is you, but it can't be you if it's talking to you, right? So it's like you start to realize, like, oh my God, there's this other voice. When you do that and when you have that experience, it's a very eye-opening experience to get like, oh, that's not me. Do you need something? Hold on one second. The one with the tennis or the backpack? Yeah,
Sorry, guys. One sec. This is real life.
your butt. Um, so that's it's a huge insight. You're like, oh my God, this thing that's just been berating me and telling me that I'm not good enough, or I'm fat, or I'm ugly, or I'm stupid, or I'm slow, or whatever it is, right? Like, not me. Wow. And then you really start to do a lot of this mindset work. But if you think about it, this is what I was saying in the beginning. Like, if you think about it, what you're feeding is you're feeding the mind with more information. Now, this is new information, excellent information. What I want to offer is that is not just one voice in your mind. There are hundreds of different aspects of yourself. And each one of these aspects has a voice. So when a part of you feels threatened, I want you to imagine that there's this protector, and this protector is very loud. And the protector starts to control your life. And then you have parts that try to manage your life and try to meddle and fix things and try to understand things and all that kind of stuff. So, as we're learning all of this stuff with mindset work, this growing up work, what we're in essence doing is we're giving the mind, these managers, these protectors, new tools and information to manage and control our lives, manage and control our circumstances, manage and control everyone around us, which is awesome. Because now, instead, when you felt anxious, you would go drink a bottle of wine. Now, when you're anxious, you can at least in the moment try to think like, oh, okay, I'm anxious because my boss said this thing. And I know that when I get in a confrontational situation because when I had that in my house, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. But do they really like, what were they saying actually confronting me? Can I kind of like start to separate that? Right. And you do, but it's all from here. When we start to do waking up work, we actually introduce people to something called subtle body. So this was subtle mind, this is subtle body, and you start to learn a new language separate from the one that has been running the show. So if awareness, the reason like people do all this mind stuff is because awareness, if I even said to you, hey, where is your awareness? Most people will say that they are viewing life through here. So some people will say like point to kind of like the middle of the head, behind the eyes, like this area. This is where most people kind of relate. And this is where your awareness has been forever. Forever. Like maybe when you were a kid, you had different experiences, but like once you turn 3, maybe 4, this is where awareness just got locked in, right? Because like as your senses came online, I want you to imagine if you've ever seen that movie Inside Out, it's kind of like that. It's like someone looking from this purview and screen of just like controlling your life. When you learn that you can move awareness anywhere, you can move awareness to your heart. You can move awareness to your right toe. You can move awareness to your partner. You can move awareness to wherever you want. You can move awareness to Jupiter. Once you have this gift of being able to shift awareness out of mind, then all this mind chatter that you have been trying to reprogram or manage, if awareness is not there to be aware of it, it's no longer driving you. And you start to get this whole other experience of life through this. Through this. And here's the kicker: where awareness goes, energy will flow. Where awareness goes, energy will flow. And it's not just energy is like, ooh, energy. It's like a benevolent force that has every healing, growing, uplifting, energizing, relaxing piece to it. It's like a divine force, right? And so imagine if you could get this crystal, right? Like a crystal that you can move from inside of here, because that's where it's lived, to here. And let this crystal start to work inside of you. And then once you get good at that and you realize, oh my God, this crystal is like healing everything inside of me from the inside out with effortless ease. What if I can move this crystal to my relationship? What if I can move this crystal to my work or finances? And in the same way that it magically, easily, effortlessly does all this stuff for you inside, it will do the same thing for your relationship. It will do the same thing for your business. It will do the same thing for your money. And I know this might sound like, what the fuck? Yes, it is. Like you've experienced it before. This is not like woo-woo. You know, every time that you've ever experienced flow state in your life where things have just been like moving, where information just comes in, where these perfect people and opportunities just come to you, it's because you've been in that state. But we've all been led to believe that that's like lightning striking, you know, and you just hope that you can be there in the moment where lightning strikes again. But you don't have to be. Like, this is God given. This is how we're all intended to live, at least the way that I see it. Is it going to take something? Yes, it's going to take something. It's going to take courage of you stepping out of this world that we've all been programmed is the only world that's up here. Because, and I, after working with thousands of people and having done this on myself and etc., like sometimes when we go inside, the things that arise are not pleasant. But it was the same thing, honestly, when you started to listen to some of the shit that your mind, this voice says to you. Also, let's be honest, not pleasant at times. Like, we're all judgmental, egotistical pieces of shit at times from the mind's point of view. Not that you are, but from the mind's point of view. You seen someone walk down the street, you judged a mom on an airplane with a crying baby, you know, someone stood at a traffic light too long. Like, we're all horrible at times. And you can literally step out of that world altogether. So no more trying to figure it out, no more trying to manage it, no more trying to do any of that. Like, doesn't that sound way easier? And that's, I mean, I feel like we've been given this gift. It took us 15 plus years to get to that place. Hopefully you guys can shorten that and do it a lot sooner than we have. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today.
That's the kit and caboodle. Yeah. So again, you just kind of summarize here and then give you guys, first of all, if you're interested in learning this work, there's one thing to hear this and understand it. There's another thing to read it in a book and think that this is some kind of formula. We can tell you that while mindset, you can understand concepts. Of course, a concept applied is how a concept is learned, right? With this work, it's even more intensely important that it's not something you think about, it's something you directly experience. If you guys know what the word gnosis means, it means learning through direct experience. Okay? With our mindset work, we like to think of it as it's ontological in nature. Okay? You can, if you don't know what that means, just take a look. This work can only be understood through direct experience. Like Elon said, it's really quite the same as the way you learned when you were a child. You had an experience, mom and dad pointed at it and gave it a name. You had an experience, an emotional experience. Someone observed what was happening, pointed at it, and gave it a name. That's how humans learn. We learn through pointing and habitual repetition. There it is. Are you noticing that? There it is. Are you noticing that? And because this stuff is innate, it's happening all the time. But that's the beautiful part. The development of this skill is not like, oh, I have to get better at doing it. It's just doing it so you notice it. Period. because every human can do this. Every human is gifted at this. It is literally built into the system, but it is so close to our system and so far from our culture that nobody's noticing that they're constantly doing it, right? Like Elon and I get, I don't want to say upset is too strong of a word, but we get frustrated by people who teach manifestation. Now, there are good manifestation principles, don't get me wrong, right? Like it's a good thing to point at and say, hey, look, this is you manifesting. But the reality is everyone is manifesting all the time. If no one can teach you how to manifest, because you can't not manifest. It is a byproduct of being human. Question is, what are you manifesting, and why is that what's being manifested? And the reason what's being manifested is it's your energetic composition. Reality is going to reflect that. Full stop. Like that could be an entire program. It's like you have energy, you're outputting a signal, reality is reflecting that signal. That's the reality that you have. You're not to blame for having that reality. It was taught to you, whether directly or through your perception of what was at your house, whether there was lack or whether there was too much, whether they didn't pay attention, you were all alone, whether you were a performer, nobody cared, right? Like all those things, you had to adapt to that world. It hurts when there's no connection, right? We've all felt lonely. We've all felt despair. We've all felt despondent. Like we've all had these experiences, and we're very, with a lot of effort, trying to figure out how to be some other way than that. But here's the truth. Real spirituality and real wisdom is not adding more to your system. Real wisdom is subtraction. Real transformation is subtraction. It's not addition. It's subtraction. It's all the identities that have been formed attempting to create safety. Check it out for yourself. Cannot do it. It is a part of you that was misinformed, that did its best, that deserves honor and respect for how hard it's tried, that we want to literally sit and thank it for how hard it works. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't eat, it just fucking goes. Right? And if you want that part to work better for you, then it too needs some new information, and it can't do that by continuing the same habituated processes that it's used before. The energy has to move, has to metabolize from the system, and then you're going to see there's an energetic reconfiguration. And this is why results change really rapidly for people, relationships, health, because so much of what's going on in your life is a matter of what your operating system is doing for survival. And so if you want to change that frequency, if you want to change what that looks like, you need, just like Elon and I need, I'm not saying that like, oh, we're free of this and not, like Elon and I work with teachers every single week. Multiple teachers for 5 years straight now to get reflection. Not because we're stupid, not because we're slow, not because we don't get it. It's because every life is happening. Our system is responding. Sitting with another person who can hold awareness, who knows how to hold ground in their system, whose system is energetically fluid, allows you to re-template your energetic body. Right? We're all at the effect of the people in our lives. We're all at the effect of everything that's happening in the world because we're all one. We're all intertwined with each other. Different humans, all it is a different angle of perception on the same thing. And we've spent a long time arguing about what reality is instead of starting to feel privileged that we have 8 billion people with 8 billion perspectives on reality, which can inform everybody on how to see reality differently and more holistically. Because nobody has the right view. Even if you think you have the right one, again, that belief is generally based on what you think is safe. Doesn't make it the right reality, it makes it the reality that you feel the most safe in. And so anything that would counteract that or have a different opinion or do things differently, of course is going to be a threat to that system. That's just natural. That's biology, right? But if we learn how to work with that part of the system, we can relax our gaze, and then we can open to other energy and other frequencies. And at first it's gonna be like, whoa, that feels a little funny. But then it's like everything else, you do it a few times, like, oh, why was I ever scared of that? Boom, reality opens up wider for you. And part of manifesting the life of your dreams is learning how to open a system, not so you can do more, quite the opposite, so you can receive more. Because most of us, it's like when someone, like think about when someone gives you a compliment. You know, we're all like doing things. We want someone to acknowledge us, and then someone acknowledges us, and we're like, yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks, yeah. And we kind of shut down. You can actually feel the contraction that happens in the system. So that should point to you that you're not like, I'm wide open. I'm receiving, right? Like it's not that experience, and it can be. It can be. You can feel fully worthy. You can feel fully aligned. You can be wide open to receiving, and we truly believe how much you are able to receive in terms of wealth, your health, healthy relationships, your physical health, like all of that is a matter of fact for these things. In fact, we've had clients, right? Like for those of you who have struggled with weight most of your lives, you need to understand that your biology is holding on to that weight as a matter of safety,
Yeah.
right? There was trauma that happened, and then you literally had to create a barrier between you and the world to become less sensitive. I'm not joking. There's a physical response the body has. The mind will shape the body and the energy and how the energy moves in the body. These days, Elon and I can walk into a room and with 85, 90% accuracy, give or take, we can pretty much tell you what people's underlying psychology is based on the shape of their body. Why? Because we've understood that the mind is shaping the body and it's having the energy move a certain way. So we've had clients that have struggled with weight loss their entire lives. And I want you to understand this. A person who's doing that, usually in that kind of state, in that kind of energetic constitution, that was the word I was looking for, constitution, um, when they start losing weight, the threat response in the nervous system actually increases. They are feeling less safe, right? There's less distance between them and the world out here. And so what they've learned to create safety is to reach for more food. And so they start eating more, and then the body gets that distance, and they go back to what feels like homeostasis for that system. So it's very difficult for that person, and again, for Marilyn saying I've gone from full anorexia to obesity, right? Same thing for people anorexic, right? They're despondent of their body, right? And all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to get into each one,
No
but
safety in the body.
yeah, there's no safety in the body. So you can see for that person, it's like unless the aspect inside themselves starts feeling safe, that system is going to find ways to hold on to that weight, to sabotage it. This is what happens to people on The Biggest Loser. If you guys remember that show, they lose all the weight and then they follow up with them a few months later and they've got it all back because that hasn't changed. They were just dealing with the externality.
Yeah.
And so they get this false sense of feeling good for a period of time, but then the parts get triggered, and that's what we want to go to work on. So if you want to work those parts, again, it has to be directly experienced. The way that you guys can find out how to do that, how to go through our foundational programs, very simply, guys, all you want to do is put I'm interested in the comment box below. Oops, that's not it. Sorry. I'll get there. Where are you? Yeah, there you go. So all you want to do is comment I'm interested in the box below. Okay, what that's going to do for you is it will take you here. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen for you.
No, they'll be reached out to by our
Yeah.
team.
I want to show them our team real quick. That's all I'm going to do.
Got it. Yeah, so we have a team of amazing. These are coaches, people that have been with us for a very long time, and they will just have a conversation with you and see if what we offer here is even a fit. Listen, it might not be, right? Like you guys might need more growing up work. You might need this, you might need that. They're very well versed. I just really want to let you guys know, like, we're not attached to anyone doing work with us. We don't convince people, we don't coerce people, we don't have any like weird marketing tactics. Like, we get to work with people
There you
who
go.
want to work with us. Plain and simple. And so we make it as easy, effortless as possible. Have a conversation with Corey, who just messaged here. We have Nikki. We have Jasmine. There's also Tobias, who I don't see on here, but
I'll add him in.
he'll be put on here as well. And yeah, they just have a inquiry conversation, see what's up. There's a slew of ways that you can begin to do this work. Like maybe you're like a toe dipper, or maybe you're like a dive into the deep end person, right? And so wherever you're at, there's opportunities for you. So just again, type in I'm interested. They'll reach out to you and let your journey begin.
Beautiful. All right, guys. I think we'll close it out there. I think it's always powerful to let you guys get a sense of the type of work that people, the type of results and type of experiences that people have. Elon and I can share till we're blue in the face, but the reality is like The proof is in the pudding, in the work that we do here. Here's the thing, like we put this on some pages, when you go on a page and it says these results are not typical, we can't guarantee these results. Certainly, like we can't, that would be ludicrous, but here's what we can tell you. Anybody who applies this work, there's only one way that it goes. Results are guaranteed for those that apply the work. That's it, plain and simple, right? Because the moment you locate your awareness and understand the function of it, and then how to use it in order to help the body naturally heal. Naturally. We're not saying you don't have to force it, you don't have to do anything. Like, the body already knows. The body knows exactly what to do. What the awareness allows you to do is it basically surrenders the mind from interjecting and meddling in what's happening. Once that happens, the body again just knows what to do and knows how to clear things and knows what timing to do things in. And so that's where this work is all about. Once you have that, you can do whatever you want with it. It will open a whole new world to you, right? So there's some of you guys that just want to learn about how to get into this level of awareness. And then there's other people that you want to go really, really deep with this work. Again, this is why you want to talk to our team to figure out, like, where am I? Is this the right work for me? Is now the right time to do this? At what level do I want to commit to doing this work? And we've developed, programs and processes for pretty much everybody at every level of time and monetary commitment that you have, okay? So we love you guys. Thank you for your attention today. I'll play you out with some testimonials from people in our community who've gone through this work so you can get a sense of it. And really, I would offer, like, feel the energy from where they're sharing so you can kind of get a real sense of it. But these are some pretty amazing stories. So enjoy, and we will see you here next week. Love you guys. Welcome to Old Souls and Seekers. Bye, everybody.
You put words to something that is inexplicable. How do you try to convey, other than, I hope, the energy and the love you can feel coming through this, like how amazing and cracked open I feel? How, after a life's journey of traumas and bliss and books and self-development and walking the Camino de Santiago, which was 800 kilometers in 33 days of meditation and being connected to Earth and interacting with other pilgrims for all over the world. What an amazing experience that was. That changed me, but I can't tell you how much more 2 days with all these beautiful souls online in this event, how much more that even cracked me open, how that did crack me open, finally cracked me open. The deep-seated feelings of well-being, of connection, those aha moments, going into this with no expectations, with my heart open, it's life-altering. I sort of equate it to being when you first fall in love with someone and how blissful that is and everything's great and wonderful, and then, it's the honeymoon period. But this is not that. This is the honeymoon period with yourself, which is never going to end. I cannot stress enough how much this is actually easy, as they had said. Come if you're called, come if you're engaged. My experience, I can tell you, is not atypical. It's extremely typical for those that open up and feel this connection together. Can you do things on your own? Absolutely. Can you do things one-on-one with coaches? Fabulously. I get chills saying this, can you grow in leaps and bounds when you connect with a large group of like-minded souls? The energy between us all, the love, that deep-seated feeling of wellness and connection. You're not alone. You're here for a reason. Nothing's a coincidence. Like, it just all clicks and becomes this most beautiful experience. I hope for any of you that are remotely called to do this, that you will seek these people out, this organization out, this love out, because it's there for you. It's that easy.
I went to their 2-day event this last weekend, and it's just been such a phenomenal growth in my path. I felt like it's exactly what I've been asking for. I had this amazing ability to really, truly come inside myself, listen. So easy. I've been, quote, trying for years, but I think that was part of the problem. I was trying too hard. And when they mentioned just without effort, it almost gave me the permission to just literally feel and drop in and allow whatever was coming up. and in their meditations and in their deep energetic work, I felt so much that it was shocking to me. And I've been able to continue throughout the last few days since the event. And I'm just so grateful. I'm currently in some challenging times, and I feel like that was the missing piece. I've been trying to do it from my mind and not knowing how to really deeply go into my body and feel and heal. And that process was unleashed during this event, and I'm continuing it. And I'm so amazed at how easy and how effortless it really is. Been on a path of embodiment for many years. Lots of self-awareness and personal growth, but it's like that wasn't enough. I felt stuck, and I knew and I felt that there was a lot of stuck energy and, past pain and in my body, and I didn't know how to touch it, even with all the different modalities I've done. This was a missing piece that I've been asking the universe to show me, and when the student is ready, the teachers appear, and that's what has happened. And I'm excited to work with Guy and Ilan some more, and I'd encourage anybody who's thinking about this in this work event in the future to consider it. Because it's really powerful, deep, transformational work. Thank you.
I just experienced the second 2-day intensive with Guy and Ilan and Satori Prime, and it's overwhelming. The number one thing is the support. 2, and I said this on day 1 of the 2-day, the abundance of honesty that comes out of this work is in and of itself medicine. Honest with yourself, honest with listening to other people and their stories, not taking it in to a point where it affects you, but taking it in to a point where it allows you to feel and to move through it with them and within yourself. And that's what this program does. At least it has for me. And to feel all of the feels and to not be afraid of them and to have the support when you want to turn around and walk away, they say no. You don't have to. They don't tell you you can't, but they tell you you don't have to. And in doing so, it opens up so much more. The field of energy that was coming through on day 2 was so overwhelming that when my other half walked in to give me some news regarding one of my stressors, I didn't see him. I saw the energy and I saw the emotion, and I felt it. And I knew it, and I was so protected and so safe that moment alone was worth all the weight in gold. This is a powerful thing. I can see it changing my life. In good ways, in ways that I still question, and in ways that I want to still question. Thank you to the entire Satori Prime family. Thank you. I'm better today than I was yesterday. I was better yesterday than I was 2 months ago when I signed up for round 1. And I can't wait to see where this journey takes me and us together, because I know that we're going to be better a month from now, a year from now, because we're doing the work. So, thank you. Mwah.
So I've been trying to find what happened to me that day, and the new traumatic experiences just kept happening to me. And it felt like each one, the next would be more extreme than the last. It didn't matter how many books I read, how much I prayed, how much I meditated. I went to counseling. I still am in counseling. I've been going to counseling my whole life. I had a life coach. I'm actually training to become a life coach as well. Working out, vision boards, affirmations, you name it, I did it. I wanted to know all about it, but it didn't help me stop my cycles. In that second meditation, I've come to aware that I took all of those moments for granted. And that was sad, and it was probably a really big disappointment to look at myself like that I have all of these beautiful days that I'm wasting, and I could be present for them all. Not only for myself, but for a lot of people out there. Sorry. No, I'm not, actually. I'm supposed to feel that. I'm gonna allow that in. Every experience can be different. It truly was a pivotal moment for me of where there was before this experience and after it. And I know that it's only catapulted me to only further my growth. And that to me is something that I can't thank enough, and I can't be more grateful for. So if you guys are wanting to do this experience, I encourage it. I encourage you to do as many experiences as you can, because it's life-changing and it's amazing. And I can't thank enough everyone, even for the mini groups and everything after it that they provide, is support with like-minded individuals that I'm so filled with happiness and so much gratefulness in my heart that there's no dictionary to describe this kind of stuff, but I hope that I was able to, put it into a little part of a testimony for you guys and explaining it as the best I could. I love you all.
It's been a wonderful 2 days, emotional, and I just had to take a couple days to process it all, because it just seemed, but it was very, very intense, and it was a wonderful journey to be on, that's for sure. There's two reasons for me that hurdles that I kind of had to take. Excuses, right? We make up excuses for ourselves, and whatever they are. I don't have the money, I don't have the time, it's not the right time for me, or I can do it on my own, whatever. You have those excuses and you go back and forth in your own head. And the other thing was that I thought I could do it alone, that what I really needed was I needed help. And I actually came face to face with that. And so those two kind of things came to a head, plus talking to Nikki and Corey, I decided, what can I lose, really, right? So you go back and forth in your own mind, and at least I do talk to myself too much. So I took the leap of faith, and I went and I took the 2-day course, and I am so proud and happy for myself that I did. It took me, like I said, a couple days to process it all, because it was so intense, and just the collective. It's such a safe, loving, protected place to be. You don't have to be afraid. And if we're on the fence, going back and forth like I was, I recommend that you just do it. It's a gift for yourself. The support, the love, that's exactly what I needed. I needed to have someone to tell me that, I'm worth it, and I'm not alone, that there's other people out there on the same journey, have the same feelings as well. Thank you so much for just being there. It's amazing. Love you.
Trying to put into words the experience that I had, which is actually quite difficult. I went on a journey for the best part of it. Guy and Alan are very, very good at guiding people, and obviously within this event there was, around 50 odd people all sharing this experience with me, which created a very powerful energy field. And as they were guiding us and to get people to understand and help you understand certain aspects of yourself, we are multidimensional beings. We live in multiple realities at the same time. And I think what happens is we get pulled into this reality, as beautiful as it is, through our senses. And that isn't every reality. There is lots of other areas for us to explore. And Guy and Alan are very good at guiding you to open up these different pathways, these different realities. So for me personally, deeply connected to the earth, I felt almost just part of the energy field of the earth at times. I was connected to what I can only describe as beings of light, which were coming to visit me, even maybe ancestral parts of my ancestry. And that was a very powerful experience. And even beyond that, I was viewing the Earth from the moon. There was a lot of visuals for me, and I found it very, very powerful to hear everyone else's story as well, and everyone else's experience, should I say. There was a lot of people. They were opening up parts of themselves that maybe hadn't been open for a very long time, and there was a lot of healing going on. And I found that absolutely amazing. I think for me personally, what I can bring from and what I've experienced and what Guy and Alan really help with is we have a very busy reality. We live very, very fast lives. We have been conditioned, or we've conditioned ourselves to live like this. Everything moves at quite a fast pace, including our thoughts now. I don't think it's always been like this. In fact, I know it hasn't always been like this. And so what this really helps you do is just take in the stillness of everything. And it allows you to really sink in and just allow that stillness to be. And that is by far the most powerful thing I took from this experience. And I think many others would do as well. And if you haven't been on it, I would definitely recommend going on it, 100%. Like I say, it's hard to put into words, the experience.
So I didn't know what to expect from the 2-day Intuitive Mind event. And honestly, I was a little bit anxious about spending that much uninterrupted time just focused on me. But I'm so glad that I followed my intuition and participated, because it far exceeded any expectations that I could have conceived before. Not only was the event itself powerful and transformative, but now it's 4 days later and I have received daily more downloads, information, just insights that have been really special. There's been a new level of calm and peace and just trust in my body system since the event, and that alone is priceless. I can't wait for more events. I think Guy and Elon are so knowledgeable and supportive, and I can't wait to continue this beautiful journey with you. Thank you so much for the work that you do. I love you, and you're really making the world a better place. So thank you.
I pondered over doing this, trying to work out how do I explain what just happened. The first thing, I guess, for me, a lot of the energy workshops I've done is generally with women. It's generally, it's not unheard of that I go to events and there's me and 19 other women at these events, held space by women. I just seem to be more attracted to, I guess, the feminine, if you need a word. Or there's just not a lot of men going to these type of workshops. I never knew, I just go along. These two have cultivated within themselves the ability to hold gentle, loving space. And from a big-hearted man like me, that to me is priceless in itself. There's a little bit of a finding home. And for a weekend where I did fuck all, there was just space. Just space. To feel the transformation on the spot of people in the group from an energetic perspective, not from the words that they spoke perspective, I loved. What brought me to the event was just I'd only followed these guys, I stumbled across them, I've only followed them for a couple of months. And just went, oh, that feels all right, I'm not going to do that. Did I have some resistance after that decision? Of course, I did, you know. What am I doing? A couple of fucking randoms on the internet, shit. I have a little gullible piece, so I'm very wary of being taken advantage of. Yeah, so for you, it's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's not an intellectual decision. If you're making an intellectual decision, it might not be right for you. There is changes that are possible. You just need to put your hand up.
I've been on my self-development journey for 5 years now, and I have always had problems to sustain the energy in my body due to physical pains that I have. And these pains, they like feed the blockages that I have in my body. So falling into mind and stress and self-sabotage over and over again, for me it's just inevitable because I never really could hold that foundation inside, that was missing for me. And when I heard that Guy and Ilan had a live event coming up, and somebody invited me if I wouldn't like to join, because that was exactly what I was looking for, to get unstuck in my energy and unstuck in self-sabotaging myself. So my mind went a bit haywire because I had a work weekend that weekend, and I didn't really have the financial means to join. So I thought it over, and I went to my boss, and I was able to switch my work weekend around, and I lent the money from my husband, and I could attend. So because I knew not going was, just something when it feels right, you've just got to get that. And that's what that event was for me. And during this event, what happened for me was I've never felt something like that before. Nearly at the end of the event, when we were invited to join an exercise, it just released a wave of ugliness and shame inside myself that flooded out me. I could see and feel all that blame, everything just flooded out. And what I realized was that I just forgave myself, and I didn't know that was a work that I still needed to do. And when that happened, it was as if my solar plexus just opened up when all that wave of ugliness and shame went outside my body. I can't explain it any otherwise. And I couldn't grasp these feelings that happened over the 2 days, but it was as if my body and soul were getting ready to release all that. So I didn't understand it, but my body already and my soul knew what was happening to me. And it was just amazing that everything inside myself knew that I couldn't carry those and handle those feelings anymore. So at the end of that exercise, everything that blocked me was just gone. And it was always as if my solar plexus was pushing me down. And now it is as if I have a strong person inside myself, like this strong energy that opens up. I don't know how to explain that. And it's just a feeling like, oh God. Even just expressing my feelings on camera like this, or being vulnerable, it's just nothing that I've ever done. So this is really new to me, and I'm nervous, but it's also exciting to just be able to do this and not hide underneath my stomach anymore and just being pushed away. So it's fantastic. And these are really exercise and tools that Guy used that everybody can learn. I think it's always being so overcomplicated to get in touch with your feeling inside that a lot of people are afraid to do that. And I just went in open-minded, and I just believe everything is possible now. It's just, it's fantastic. It's really fantastic. I've never felt more like myself than I do today. So really, I appreciate you, Guy and Ilan. Thank you so much for the work that you two are doing with this beautiful community, and I just can't wait for the next live event to happen. So until we see each other again, all the best to you, and thank you very, very much for just setting me free and just making me smile the whole day. It's fantastic. Thank you.
I walked in with an open mind, and what I walked out with was a lot more than that. I walked out with an open heart, an open mind, and a whole new experience. And it was so worth it. A life-changing experience, I could call it that. I've never felt that way before. I have read many books. I have taken some courses. I have been working on my personal development. And I found the weekend has changed me forever. I felt at peace. I felt secure. I felt safe. I felt loved. And I felt completely tranquil and still. And it was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience, providing a very safe, comfortable, loving, supportive environment. They constantly reassured us. They were there to support us, and we could feel that. And I thank them so much for that. I felt like I was flying high that day. The point that I had reached through those 2 days in my experience, in my meditations, I have never reached that level before. Also, the people that attended in the group, everyone was amazing. Such great experiences, gave you so much perspective, insights on what everyone is experiencing and how we can, help support each other, learn from each other, and also build friendships in the Facebook group that we have. That is a wonderful thing. I'm checking it every day, and it's just amazing, the amount of beautiful souls out there, and I highly recommend this. And I hope you too come and join our live experience once again, and see what it's all about. And you too will see that it is life-changing. And I thank you all, and I hope to see you there.